Now, I wanted to show you different ways that you can set up the weather in either a hosted event or an AI race session.
It's coming down quite a bit now.
3 different modes that you have: static weather, forecasted weather, and timeline editor, which is very interesting. But so the first one's static, obviously pretty simple, straightforward. You can choose partly cloudy, mostly cloudy, overcast, and then what your track moisture is: moderate, heavy. I mean, this is rain. You got your temperature, wind speed, humidity, and whether or not you want fog or not. So whatever you set this to, that's what the session is going to be constantly throughout the entire time that you're in the session. Pretty basic. If you just want, I want to race an entire race in heavy rain. Okay, there you go. Moving on to the second one, you have forecasted weather. Now this one's pretty interesting. You can set it up to where you have mostly cloudy, set it to probable. You know, what's the chance of rain? Probable, unlikely, it's definitely insured. You got your different temperatures. Maybe you want it, maybe it's a hot summer day with that rain coming in. And then what's really interesting, you got this cloud cover, chance of rain, humidity, wind over here. But then you can click on regenerate, and that's going to change your chance of rain. It's going to change when it comes in. It's going to make it so you don't really know. After, once you set this up, you don't really know what the weather is going to be like in the actual race itself. If it's going to start dry, then get wet, start wet, then get dry, patches of rain here and there. All it gives you is cloud cover, chance of rain, humidity, and wind. And then it's just going to generate based on that. So it's very dynamic. You don't really know what you're going to get. As I'm changing it, now I'm on probable. So we're getting 49%. Now, here you go, 46. Now, if you got 46% chance of rain, there's a chance that it's not going to rain in that session. But you can keep on clicking it here. You can go to unlikely, regenerate that. Now we're down to 11%, 6% chance of rain, 8% chance of rain. Now let's click on insured. Now we have 97% chance of rain. Basically, it's going to rain, but there's still a small chance that it won't. Go up here, go to timeline editor. You can launch the timeline editor. You can see that our race is happening right here. So there's a bunch of time before and a little bit of time after, which doesn't really matter, but the time before is interesting. So you can add, let's say we add this. Let's get a couple of them in here. Now these are different weather events. Now you can change, these are almost like keyframes. So you can change this out. Let's say it rained, a couple hours before the race, then it cleared up, and then maybe you have some, light rain, a little band of light rain, maybe then it cleared up again before the race. Remember, this green line is our actual race time. And then maybe we have a little bit of light rain followed by, mostly cloud. I mean, you can get crazy with this stuff. Now, the width of your keyframe, it's not very narrow. You can't throw in like a bunch of different weather events all at once. But as you can see, so it looks like the race will start dry, but the track may be wet because we had moderate rain and a little bit of a light rain hours before the race, a couple hours before the race. Then it cleared up, so maybe it allowed it to dry up a little bit, but then we get into some light rain. And then maybe at the very end it gets, that's at the end of the race. And you can mess with your wind speed, your temperature. Maybe you set it to a hot track. And that way, maybe it dried up a little bit more during this clear period before the race, rather than if you have it cool temps, the track's going to stay much wetter prior to the race. But, man, this is pretty wild stuff. You got your wind direction, and, I would imagine if you have strong winds and it's hot out, the track's going to dry up much quicker than if it's a cool, calm day. So then you just submit your timeline, and you get a rough idea on what's going to happen here, so to really narrow it in. So that's how that's how all the different ways you can set up weather. It's going to be fun messing around with this stuff, seeing what weather events are fun to actually race in. You can just have it where it's 100% rain the entire time. Yeah, very, very interesting, very, very cool. Especially the timeline editor. So I'm excited for hosted, excited for AI, and the possibilities are endless on what kind of races you can have based on all the different ways that you can have the weather.
This is what you wanted.